Welcome, Royal Family. You tuned into Healing Queens, the podcast, where the focus is motivation, support, and guidance for the growth of our queens and kings. Welcome. I am Emma E2K, your healing life coach. Welcome, welcome. It's episode 75. Woo! 75. My goodness, where the time has gone. But it's the month of June. But before we begin this episode is sponsored by healingqueens.org, healingqueens.org, E2K Worldwide Services LLC, Team Scarcity, and As She Speaks Coaching. So 75, it's about, it's June. So you already know I got to give it up for the dads, because some of the kings be like, Emma, you don't be doing nothing for us. Well, this is for y'all. Okay. And not only am I going to be talking about amazing dads, I'm going to give tribute to my own dad that I actually did not have a relationship with, but I'm still giving him tribute because 50% of me, he contributed to. So happy Father's Day to all the amazing fathers, the dads that really put in the work. I see you. I want to acknowledge you. I want to let you know that if your children ever thank you, man, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being a stand-up father. And I know that some men will be like, well, you don't have to thank me. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm still going to thank you because there's a lot of them, a lot of men that have not stepped up to the plate for whatever their reason. I'm not judging, but either way, it's the children that suffer. So I don't want to talk about being a girl dad alone, right? Even though, my dad was a girl dad. I want to be able to bring one of my kings, one of my brothers, my brother from another mother. Me and him have always had amazing conversation, not only about this, but like everything. We talk about everything. And so who better than to talk about this topic with me and just bring him on board and honor him, because he's a girl dad. He's a double girl dad. So so give it up for Scarcity. Welcome, Scarcity.
Yo, what's good? Peace, love, and light. Healing Queens family,
Yes.
What's going on?
You made it.
Yes,
75.
Queens. Hey, episode 75. Let's go.
Let's go. So, girl dad, you're a double. You're a double. You got the double. So, first of all, happy Father's Day.
Thank you, Queen.
Father's Day. I want to honor you. I want to give you your flowers. Okay.
Appreciate that.
I want to salute you as not only being an amazing king, and I don't just say that because I know you forever, but because your reputation follows you. Anybody that knows this gentleman here has nothing but great things to say about him, because he is a great man. But not only is he a great man, he's an amazing father. And I want to get into that part of him. He does music, he wears many hats. But the hat I want to talk about today is that daddy hat. Yeah, I want to get into that because I think that is a key factor to what you're doing in life. I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know. How is that energy, or what is it that makes you proud to be a girl dad?
So, yeah, first off, I want to say thank you for bringing me on. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. You know what I mean? This is episode number 75. So big up. You know what I'm saying, to Healing Queens and all of the Healing Queens family. So in terms of me being a girl dad, it changed my whole life. It made me more sentimental. It made me open-minded, and it kind of gave me that cemented focus that I need. And now I have that. I've always had focus, but this gives you laser focus. If you love yourself and you love your children, it's going to give you laser focus, because, as a dad, you always want better for your children than you do for than you did growing up. You want them to have a better life than you did, right? So I could see into the future when from the day that my child was born, I pulled her out of her mother, held her in my hands, and was just like kissed her, embraced her, and we were talking to her when she was being born. So I've been there from day one until now. I'm there every day. I talk to them every single day. It's just so enlightening, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful thing, you know.
So what are your best advices for a girl, right? Because it's different when you have a son and you're like, hey, yo, get the girl's numbers or whatever, blah blah. What do you tell your daughters?
Well, for me, you know, I'm a conscious individual, and my goal is to always communicate to my children, to always communicate the awareness to them, to always communicate to them, you know, safety first,
Mm,
right? You know, I never really babied them. Even when they were babies, I was
mm,
still speaking to them with the intellect because I want them to be aware and conscious, and I know that the inner spirit within them is deep. It's not just, you know, oh, you're a baby, gaga google. Like their DNA is supreme. Their DNA is like, you're a queen already. You're born a queen, you know what I mean? You're already born with you. The child is born with everything that they need within them. So, you know, my advice to them is always be intelligent, be smart, be aware, and think about safety no matter what you're doing, you know, and, you know, live your life. And I allow them to have their own choices. I'm not one of those people that are very dogmatic or controlling to my children, like, you must have this religion, or you must read this book, or you must go this path. My thing is, as long as you have a plan and it's positive and you're not getting into negativity, I'm going to support you. And
mm.
being open-minded like that, we have a great open relationship. So, you know, from my youngest, who's 9, and my oldest, who's going to be 17, you know, I give them the jewels of life, right? You know, crack open all of the books and let them get a preview on what life is about. But I always pitch it to them in the form of like, here's what this is and here's what that is. Not, you must do this. And because when I was growing up, it was always, you know, you got to go to college, or, you know what I mean? You have to go buy a house. Don't be renting forever. Like, I tell them, do what makes you happy, because what worked for me may not necessarily work for them, because they are different persons. So I respect their individuality. So my advice in a nutshell is, think about what you want to do. Make sure it's something you want to do. If you do it and you don't like it, you can always pull back and reverse what you've done. You know what I mean? So I
Right,
just teach them to keep an open mind no matter what they're doing.
right. And that's great advice. And it's so true. Like, I didn't have a relationship with my father. Unfortunately, my father was running those streets, and that's all he was thinking about. And so it
Mhm.
was up to my mom. And it was kind of hard because I wasn't getting anything really positive from my mom about my dad. I mean, and I understand now, right? At this age, I get it. But that kind of was sad. That was sad for me too, that I didn't hear nothing great about him. I didn't really see him around. He wasn't really around. If I close my eyes, I can picture certain, when he came and brought me a bike, or when he, like those kind of like when you giving previews to a movie, but I can't think about, us seeing the movie together and stuff like that. And so I was angry with him for a long time because of that. Not having a father around caused me to have daddy issues. It caused me to look for a protector, because the dad's supposed to be the first protector in line. I didn't have that. I didn't have that already defense. My dad, even though he was from the street and yeah, people were afraid of him and all that, but it wasn't that, I didn't feel I can go to him. He
Mhm.
didn't feel like my protector. Um, and so I grew up needing to protect myself and finding someone that can stand by me and protect me. And if you can't protect me, then, which led me to find men from the street.
Mhm.
The same thing that I saw my dad. Oh, well, my dad gets respect, so I'm gonna find someone from the street that gets respect as well, because somebody got to protect me. My father didn't protect me, somebody got to protect me. And I always felt that I was so sad, man. That was so sad. And I've always encouraged my brothers, my kings, like, even if you have issues with the baby mama or whatever, man, try to figure it out for the mental health of your child. because I grew up without a dad, and I wish my dad fought a little more for me, for my time and all that. He's no longer alive, so that's I've already forgiven him. I've been through that, but I still have to harbor that for a lot of years, a lot of years. So I'm a big advocate of fathers being in their children's life, especially girl dads, because we need y'all. I'm telling you, like, if you have any daughters and you haven't spoken to them in a long time, man, call them up. Find a way to mend with that woman, because at the end of the day, you have to be civil to the mother if the mother's the one raising, your daughter and you're not around. Either way, she deserves a respect. I'm not saying that she may not be cray cray and not threaten you or whatever, but get around that. Go to court, do whatever you need to do to be in your daughter's life, because it's going to create a big impact. It's going to create a big impact. And then there's a lot of women that stay bitter. And so you have bitter moms raising now these young queens and speaking ill about men. So right away, I already had that, like, they're going to leave me, so I'm going to use them too, and blah, blah, blah. And, just a whole mess, all because my father wasn't around to guide me, to give me the jewels that I needed, to allow me to explore and to live. And that I knew, okay, I had somebody. I didn't, so I really don't want that to happen to other little girls. That's why I give you your flowers. I know you before your girls were born, and you've
Right.
always been a stand-up man. So I don't know if it's just because you was already a stand-up. I didn't expect any less when you had your children, for you to mistreat them or anything. I see the way you've treated always your wife. I'm, total queen, royalty. So seeing your daughters, I'm around them. They're my nieces. Seeing them blossom, seeing them be able to be who they need to be, and feeling safe and that, so I got to take out my hat to you. Like, thank you. Thank you for that. And I know that you don't do it to be thanked. You do it because that's who you are. But I still want to thank you for all the other little girls that don't have their dads that have stepped up. All these girl dads that are missing their dad and having daddy issue because they couldn't be around. I thank you. I continue to thank you and all those men that really step up to the plate, man. And you know what? Happy
Sure.
Father's Day to mine. Rest in peace.
Rest in
So
peace.
you do you
Happy
you don't
Father's Day.
you do you don't know any better, you don't know how to. So this is just to encourage any man that's out there, young, old, whatever. If you have a daughter out there, if you have a child, period, be in that child's life as much as you possibly can. What would be your advice?
My advice is that, children learn by what you do more than what you say.
mm,
So we already know your presence is a present, right? That time that you spend with them, walking through life with them, through the different chapters of life, the different challenges of life, that's how you build their character, because they see that it exists. And then what that does on the flip side is that it actually tells them that there's good men out there,
mm.
because they know from firsthand experience that their dad is somebody that is lovable, right? And so I would say, like, definitely reach out. And you have people like me where you could tap on and ask me questions. I've been through everything under the sun in a relationship that's been over 2 decades. So I know the challenges that come with, you know, co-parenting and trying to be a great dad, but then you have to work, and you have to work 2 jobs and 3 jobs, and you got the stress of life, you got bills, you got stress, you got debt, you have, physical challenges, people have illnesses, diabetes, hypertension,
And your
right?
own
There's a lot of
dreams,
challenges in life.
and you have your own dreams too, and your own dreams.
Correct. And you want to live your life.
Right.
But the thing is that, that child is dependent on you. And like you said, especially for the girl dads, because they're looking for that protection. They're looking for that guidance. And let me just say this last thing. Protection is not always just physical. You know what I mean? I'm coming through. Protection is mental first. It's really setting them up with the tools to be conscious, to have knowledge. You know, give them some wisdom, give them some understanding, give them some clarity in life, give them some vision, some direction, give them some hope. And most importantly, tell them that you love them. You know what I mean? Because every day I tell my children I love them, I give them a hug and a kiss because I want them to know you don't have to wait for nobody else, anybody else in the world. Daddy loves you. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It
Like
shouldn't
daddy
be a
loves you.
surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise
Right.
when somebody else says, I love you. You're like, oh,
Right. And guess
they
what?
shouldn't
Guess what?
thirst for love.
Guess what? If I was King Solomon and I had 700 wives and 700 kids, I would love all 700 kids because it's not about, because some people are like, oh, I got 6 kids. Yo, listen, man, what's the purpose of life if you can't love your offspring, right? That is you in a futuristic form. So love on your kids, have grace with yourself, because a lot of times we are hard on ourselves. I know a lot of men that have children and they haven't been there for their kids. And when they try to rekindle the relationship, they like back off. Trust me, even if they resistant to you,
Keep going.
reach out on their birthday, just
Yes.
randomly. Yo, what's your cash app? You know what I mean? Yo, send
Keep
them
going.
$500. Just do random acts
Show
of
up in them
kindness.
graduations. Show up in the graduation.
Exactly. Show the graduation. Your
Yes.
presence. That's all it takes. Your presence. Because life is short. So, love on them and try to be the best dad you possibly can. And lean on people like me, man.
Yes.
Like, ask a question, man. That's what we're here for. To be like,
Yes.
hey, I'm dealing with the situation. Reach out to, the healing queens. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
gonna
Everything
post.
you
I'm
say.
gonna post your information because you are an
Facts.
amazing person to talk to. If you need more information, please follow Healing Queens. Follow Scarcity Team Scarcity One. I'm gonna have all the information posted. Before we leave, real quickly, talk about what you got going on.
So yeah, so I do have my new music group, which is called the Scarcity Music Group, and it's a Web 2/Web 3 label, and we're gonna be working on talent management for artists. So anybody that's interested in doing music, reach out to me. Fathers can reach out to me if they're trying to rekindle the relationship with their children. They can reach out for advice.
Yes, so make sure that you reach out. I'm going to give all the information included. Scarcity is part of one of the Healing Kings, so definitely please reach out to him if you need to speak about girl dad or business. Like he's well rounded. But for the sake of this topic, we're talking about girl dads and all those that may need that assistance to kind of talk to or rekindle a relationship. So what about if the daughter is 25?
Yeah, if she's 25 years old and the dad is trying to get back into her life, and let's just say he hasn't been in her life, and let's just say the past 10 years, he's gonna come in with the entitlement that I'm your father. Like you need to listen to me and I wanna, get back into your life. And a lot of times the woman at that point is not gonna be receptive.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, right? Because the reality is that he could have been locked up, he could have been going through a drug addiction, he could have been going through depression, a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know what a person's background or past is. I've seen a little bit of everything, so I'm not going to completely blame the dad, but I'm saying you have to take accountability,
Right.
and you feel like they need to earn that title
Right.
of being their dad, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, like I was very hard on my father, very hard. To the point that he's like, well, then you're really my daughter because look at you and the attitude. Um, and so, they called him Crazy Joe. And so
Mm.
I was crazy Emma, so my crazy self was trying to show him I can be his crazy daughter, as toxic as that sounded. Um, it took me a long time. I mean, it took me nearly in his deathbed when he caught cancer. My cousin, Sid reaching out to me and me telling Sid, oh, well, is he leaving me any money? Call me when he dies. Like, or don't call me at all. Like, I'm not going. That was my attitude. I had a real hard chip on my shoulder. Like, I really was very angry at him because I felt he let me down. And so when I went through the process of forgiving him, that I actually sat there to listen to what he had to say, because I pictured a whole different thing in my head. I pictured he was having other women and hanging out and spending money and you know and not even worrying
Neglecting
about if
you.
I was eating anything. Coming to find out that he was on drugs. He was lost to the streets. And oh my God, how many of my friends I done helped get out of the street, and I had that pity on them, and I had that grace for them because I knew what drugs can do. You know, they can take you and you just you're just not in control. And I was able to forgive my friends for doing it. And here's this man that looks just like me. It's like I'm looking in a mirror. He's half the reason why I'm in this world, and I can extend the same grace. Like God really checked me on that. Like, and it thank God to Pastor Elliot, who at the time I reached out and I was like, I don't think I could do this. And he kept on insisting, forgive him, forgive him. And I'm like, well, but why I have to forgive him? He did, I'm his daughter. He let me down. And I had all this 1,000 excuses and rebuttals, like, and he said, just forgive him. Even if you don't mean it right now, forgive him. Because if your father dies and he dies without you forgiving him, there's nothing you can do about that. And you're gonna die with that. So it's better you forgive him. Listen, again, out of respect for Pastor Elliot, I did it. But I really wasn't feeling it. And 30 days to the day that he announced he had cancer, he passed away. And I got to spend those 30 days. For those 30 days, I actually was his daughter. I felt like a girl dad. And it was so sad that it was in his death moment. But we got to rekindle, and I played his favorite Spanish music. And then I seen this larger than life image that I had in my head really whittled down to a scared person that was actually asking me for help and love. And all I can do is just, then really in his like maybe last 2 weeks of life, I started seeing him for who he really was. And he was a human being. He was a human being, he sold the drugs, he did the drugs, he got caught up in the street life, and that's what happens, you know?
Right.
And I got to forgive him, and I got to be there, and I got to hold his hand, and I got to pray for him. And so, that part was amazing. I wish that we didn't lose all those other years, but what I can't complain about what could have, should have, would have, but I appreciate that at least I had those days before he passed on this earth, that he really knew I forgave him. He really knew that I loved him. Um, and so that was my healing. I got to heal through that. And again, I thank God, Pastor Elliot, because I know if I wouldn't have forgave him, oh my God, I still would have been, that would have been just added stuff to all the other stuff I'm trying to heal from. So, but at
Right.
least God, that's not one of my issues anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, you're carrying that baggage of that burden of your childhood or
Mm,
whatever time that person has spent with you. And it's just like that time is done. I know it's hard to get over that, but to your point, that person is a human being. You don't know what their circumstances were that drove them to that.
right.
But back to the dads though, what I would say again to the dads is, listen, man, if you know that you have a child, you know, do what you can, because even the little bit that you do,
Right.
you think that's nothing. I'm telling you, you show up and just give them a hug at a graduation. They have a birthday party, you show up. Your presence is like,
Showing
it's
up.
so much more powerful than just a piece of paper,
Or gifts,
some money.
or
Yeah,
expensive gifts or whatever. It's not even about that. Kids nowadays really want your attention. They want to be seen. They want to know that you did everything you had to do to show up to their school play. You
right.
know, that when they were hurt in the hospital, you showed up. Even if the mother was like, he ain't coming in here, but oh, he's out there. He came, he showed up for me. So
Right.
just show up. Just showing up. Yeah, just show up.
And I think also, for the moms, keep an open mind as well. If you're still the guardian of that child or young adult, keep an open mind, because there's no connection like their actual biological father. They want to know, if possible, they want to know where they came from,
Right.
and a lot of times it helps with the healing for the child to understand, okay, this is my father. So I actually do have a biological father. Because to have it in your head, I know I grew up without a father. So just wondering, like, is he over here? Is he over there? What is he doing? Where is he at? Why is he not here? Why do
Right.
the other kids have their dad at school, at the
Mm,
school play, and I don't have my dad? That leaves a hole,
mm,
and it shapes our society. Because part of the reason why I got into the streets back in the 80s and 90s was because I did not have a father figure there. So I felt bitter, and I felt that was the reason, that was the excuse why I could run, as they say, rip and run in the streets, because I didn't have a father. So it was like, that's my excuse. I was validated because of that. And nobody could tell me anything,
mm.
including my mom, because you can't say anything because I don't have a dad. So I'm gonna act up.
Yeah.
And so it causes damage. And a lot of times, sometimes it's too late. So talk to your kid. There's a lot of people that are living the street life. A lot of girls
Right.
that grow up to be women, and they live in the street life because they have daddy issues.
Right.
So you, as the father, is your responsibility, is your duty to visit the child. You don't have to have a relationship with the mother, but have some kind of communication
Right.
with that child. Even when they reject you, even when they're like, you ain't my father, they call you by your first name, they disrespect you. But you got to understand, it's cause and effect.
Right.
And
That comes
you
from a
know,
place of hurt. They're hurting.
they're hurting, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whether they tell you that or not, whether they come across as mean or sensitive, or however they come across, they're in a place of hurt.
So I
Because
want
I
to
don't get.
I
Yeah,
want
one
to add
last
a
thing I want to say.
disclaimer. I want a disclaimer to that too, right?
Yeah.
If it's dangerous, don't go and be like, oh, well, my kid needs to be with their father if that man already threatened your life. Okay, so
Correct.
if it's a safety issue, then yeah, then they may, if it's a safety issue, then there may have to be another conversation to be had with your child. Like, don't totally just not say nothing or disregard, because they need, kids need, you need to tell them something, information. But if it's for your safety, and if your child, and if the man is using the child just to get at you, then yeah, be careful with that. So I just want to throw that in, because then I don't want nobody to hear this and be like, oh, but they said no matter what, make sure the father sees their kid. And then
Right.
another
Absolutely. And
oh,
safety first. As I said in the
safety
beginning
first.
in our opening, I said, providing the child with safety. And if that person is somebody that harmed that child or abused that child, then they shouldn't be around. But
Right.
I'm talking about in cases where that's not the case, and they're just with the next woman, or just, oh, I'm not around because the mother give me problems, or she having issues, or she had me on child support. Your children is vital. Even sometimes, a FaceTime call, just as long as you have some kind of contact with them to show them that you love them, it means the world to a child.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you just, coming to this topic. This is something personal for me. But I definitely wanted to give the view of the king's perspective. I don't want to then people be, oh, she's one-sided because she was bitter. Well, no, I was, but I'm not. So I just want to continue to have this. I think this conversation is important. Not a lot of people have it. For some reason, people are afraid to have these conversations. It's almost like still taboo, like along with domestic violence. But we have to have these conversations, because that's why these children are running amok. These kids have no directions and they don't know where they're going. And not only because their father not in their life, mothers too are just, I don't know where they are. So it's important for us to talk about it, talk about the kids and the damage that it does if you guys do not do what you need to do. At the end of the day, you laid with the person, you're accountable for that. You're accountable for bringing a life into this world. You can't say, oh, they set me up, or I didn't mean it. Well, you knew that you was laying down, you doing what you're gonna do, right? There's consequences to every action. So even if the child wasn't planned, if the child is here and it's your child, it's your responsibility. Be around that child. Even if monetary you can't take care of that child, that's fine, but you still have a relationship. You can still communicate. It's not all about the money, even though I know there's some women, they're like, if you don't have the money, you can't see the kid. Find a way, go to court. You have rights. Exercise your rights as a father, because your children need you regardless, point blank, period. So yes. So so you let us know what you got going on. I know you said about your music group. What else you got going? Is
Yeah,
it
always have the technology. You know, that's my other page on Instagram is Team Scarcity 3. So I always have the technology going on, a lot of advances in the world of Web3. So stay tuned for that. Tap into Team Scarcity 3. But my main page is at Team Scarcity 1, and my website is thescarcityshow.com. So come and check me out, y'all. And
yes.
everybody stay blessed.
Your
Love yourself
podcast,
too.
your podcast.
Yep.
I have a fellow podcaster, so your podcast.
No question. Yeah, you already know. It's always allemotionpodcast.com. We got that. You got the Scarcity Show. So we got a lot of things going on. But
Yes.
definitely shout out to my boy Jacob Harrison, you know what I'm saying, the whole All Emotion staff. You already know. Check us out at allemotionpodcast.com.
Yes, check my I
And
got
we have
you
we
there,
have
so
an
make sure
interview
you check.
with E2K. So y'all ready? Y'all gotta check that out.
Yes, check out my interview there and check out the rest of the interviews. We here, we support each other, because that's the way it's supposed to be. A lot of people don't do that, but we do that. And so we just gonna be different and we just gonna support each other. If you don't want to support, make sure you click like, man, subscribe to All Emotion, subscribe to Healing Queens. Follow us on all social medias, healingqueens.org, healingqueens.org. If you want to donate, you can go to healingqueens.org. We are a nonprofit organization that we do life with women and men, before, during, and after crisis. So we get a lot of donations, both for men and women, because everybody's life situation is different. So we tailor it depending on what they got going on. And we try to help them with resources and anything that is in our disposal. We love to be able to support the community. We go and be sponsored by our fellow friends that also want to support what we're doing, because what we're doing is important. Not only with the podcast, speaking about topics and conversations, but we actually doing the work. Not a lot of people doing the work. Podcasts are great and all that, but it's the work. You need to do the work, because we really need to try to make a shift here in the world and where it's going. Like, we need a lot of spiritual growth and awakening and a lot of stuff, but we can't do that if we all split apart. So let's try to come together, bring harmony, bring peace, because at the end of the day, that's all we got, man. Shout out again to all the girl dads. Happy Father's Day. Thank you to the uncles that have stepped up, uncles and brothers and nephews, stepfathers. There's some amazing, great stepfathers that have stepped up to the plate. Thank you, and happy Father's Day to you too. And even though if you don't have no biologicals and you're out there pouring into a child, happy Father's Day to you too, man. You're amazing, because you don't have to do it, but yet you do it anyway. And so until the next time, you have any last words?
Peace, love, and light. I hope everybody has a blessed Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Love y'all. Keep doing what y'all doing. And I'll catch y'all on the next episode.
Yes. Until the next time, peace.
Peace.